is full effect.
Finally.
Another episode of 3 the Hard Way. We are here. Tariq Rashad here. To my right, we have
My boy Rob.
to my left,
Johnny Boy.
Johnny Boy. I'm waiting for you to say the same thing 2 weeks in a row so I can put that under your name in the edit. But you've been Fearless John, you've been Johnny Boy.
He's been Beardless John.
Beardless John.
All types of John.
And look how his beard has grown in. Me, of course, I am wearing the hood because it's a hot mess going on under here. And Rob shaved his off too.
Yeah,
And
my
it's
hat
already started growing back.
to.
You can see where our genes differ here. For family, on the our parents are brothers and sisters. But the other sides, I'm not sure about the facial hair or the height. Or the height, because it seems that those two things have eluded me. Nevertheless, I am here, older than one half of the two people next to me.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle, right where I belong. So we got a decent show for you guys here today. Talk about a few things. NBA, they're having a players only call coming up.
Oh, they had one.
Excuse me.
Friday.
They had the players only call yesterday. The NFL has released their schedule for the remainder of the year. We're gonna talk about some of our marquee matchups for that. Our like, love it, or hate it segment will be back. We'll talk about some football news. Some UFC has made the news. MLB, college basketball. Last week somebody gave me a look about cheating. That looks like Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks.
We don't cheat.
Might be involved in some investigation.
We don't cheat. But we can digress later.
All right, we're gonna get into that. Then we got a cultural argument of me.
Well, as well in a little apple.
John and myself, we got into a little discussion earlier this year that we thought would be beneficial for the show. Rob wanted to jump in on this, so a cultural conversation, not necessarily sports based, but these two people are prominent in the entertainment field, which definitely has crossed over into sports multiple times.
I think they both performed at Super Bowls too.
I think we have like absolutely. So we have a Beyonce versus Michael Jackson conversation. I don't really know how we're going to premise that conversation, so I'm not going to say exactly what it is until we get to it. So NBA, what the players in, players only. So this is no coaching, no coaches, no GMs,
No agents.
Players only. And what do we expect to come out of this sort of
I
conversation?
think it's going to change players' perspective on what money's going to look like. Revenue. One of the biggest things that they talked about was just the trajectory and the realistic possibilities of future salaries based off the hits that the NBA is taking right now from fans not being in the stands, and that's where a lot of their profit comes from.
40%.
40% of their profit. So, like, players looking to take pay cuts and, like, just renegotiating contracts and looking at the new reality of things. Also, what comes out of this is that there's going to be basketball soon. It's not going to be how it was before, where fans are going to be there. So just learning and understanding that. And the NBA is also coming up with a plan to play in 2 cities, as opposed to, just traveling around the country. So 2 select cities. And what that look like, we don't know. I think it would be ideal if it was like 2 cities. Let's say Cincinnati, and you got Xavier, and you got the University of Cincinnati. You can play 2 games in the same city. That would be dope. But just the possibility of that happening without fans and practice and how that looks like, and also them understanding that number one thing that comes first is the safety of the players, but what also comes second is just the reality of how the business portion and revenue is going to change. And you're going to hear a lot more players speaking out. I know that, and that's going to come out of it.
Just to piggyback on the 2 sites, if you've been following the show faithfully, you're like, this is broken news to you. What I'm hearing continuously is talks of Orlando and Vegas continuously. Like that's what Adam Silver has been reported to say on that players call. He was on there for about an hour, and like you said, John, they definitely stressed how the business of the NBA is struggling right now with the lack of fans and the lack of revenue that that would be generated from fans buying merchandise, buying tickets, buying food, buying beverages, buying all these type of stuff that ultimately essentially makes up a large portion of the player's salary. So that was huge. The cities that I've seen, they have opened up some NBA team practice facilities. Cleveland and Portland are the two biggest ones. Kevin Love has said that it felt weird. Like he said, it really felt weird going into the practice facility because he was shooting around. There's so many restrictions. Like only 4 people can be in the gym at a time. Like he was shooting, and the coaches were wearing masks and gloves as they were shooting, and that's a restriction that they have as well. But
the players or the coaches?
The coaches at the rebound. So the players have to come in dressed. Like you have to come in ready to play. You can't utilize the locker room at all. So it's really like they're trying to at least give the players the opportunity to fine-tune their skills in this area. And I think we are getting closer to a date in which we do have NBA basketball. And I don't, from what I get from this meeting, is that there's not going to be, they're not canceling the season, right? They're not canceling. That's not anyone's.
Not in the thought process. Not in the thought process.
Last week we got on the show and we talked about how the NBA has become really good at presenting us information, and we take it and run with it, and it's really just a placeholder for the next 15 days or 2 weeks of information to come. You're saying that right now their practice facilities only are allowed to play with 4 players at a time and things of that nature. And I hear stuff like that, and my first thought is, how in the world can I get a combination of 12 guys from each team plus coaches. At least 2 coaches? So we're talking about 30 people in a scenario in which it sends a good message to the world. Like the NBA and other sports avenues, all entertainment places. Everything isn't gonna go back to normal, but mass amounts of people is what fuels the business. And right now the fight for humanity is the fight against mass crowds.
Yep.
And everyone has to understand that, it's going to hurt a lot of businesses in a sense. And I know where I work, I'm still getting paid. So they're not going to let me just get paid for nothing.
Right.
So as an organization, as a basketball organization, I'm going to try to figure out ways where I got this struggling superstar maybe not even struggling superstar. Let's just say this superstar at home. What can I do with these 12 to 15 guys on my team to make them better while they're at home? And I think on the other end, there's a lot of players that are thinking that too. What can I do? I'm watching The Last Dance and I'm bored. I'm missing basketball. This is my livelihood.
Right.
What can I do to better myself in this field of basketball? So they're trying to find ways to make that happen. But realistically, we're in May. The playoffs would have started 3 weeks ago. So we would have been somewhere in the second, possibly even the third round of the playoffs. We haven't gotten any concrete evidence of when we're even going to be allowed to attend places like this, where they're going to be allowed. Forget us as fans attending, but where there can be enough players to actually attend lawfully the game itself.
How does that look like on the bench?
And this is where we're at in mid-May. So to me, and if you look at the 2 cities that were opened, or the 2 cities that you said they were considering, Orlando and Vegas, those are 2 cities and states that have spoken up aggressively about reopening, and you've seen the backlash that those places have gotten. So realistically, I don't know if this means much to me, other than because it's the players, we have to give some information to the media, or to the fans, just to give them some more information. To me, it's just more information until it's across the board, in a sense where this city has allowed this amount of people to be in this place to play together. Because it's basketball. As much as we love it, as much money as it generates, it's still just a game, and I don't think that should trump human. I don't think it should trump
But it's more than a game.
morals and humanity.
It's more than a game. It's a business.
Right.
And one of the things that Adam Silver said is that we have to look at what are the risks that we're willing to take to ensure that the NBA business is successful.
And
so they're looking at those measures. So the fact that they're having these conversations is good. The fact that we're getting this information from news sources is great. There isn't anything set in stone, but I do think that the NBA is getting the ball rolling, and that they are moving in a direction where they're going to make a final decision. That paperwork and that litigation, that's tough because it's not just about basketball, like you said. It's legal legislation too, and then you also have to come up with parameters around the social distancing, and I think that the one way that the NBA can make money is they have virtual front court seats, so you can pay for that, right? That can be another revenue. It's not going to be the same as people coming in. You're not those concession stands. That's a dub. You're not going to get nothing from concessions. Like concessions is done.
Merchandise too.
Merchandise might be done too because nobody's getting paid right now. So for the entertainers, I think that you can have primetime VIP seats. You know what I mean? You have your first three. You can cover the front first rows, and that can be within social distancing at a premium price. People pay that price for Super Bowl all the time. You don't think they're gonna pay to watch an NBA game? I think they'll pay to watch an NBA game actually at the games.
Okay,
like celebrities,
and like six seats in part or whatever.
Exactly, and then they gotta get tested when they come in. Blah blah blah, whatever the case may be. And that's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. But it can't. Those are the things that these are probably the conversations that they're having behind closed doors, and which is why they're not releasing.
Considering,
but why they're not releasing the information and saying, "Listen, this is exactly what's going to happen at this date." Because they don't.
This is not one of those situations where someone can say, "Oh yeah, this is what we need to do because we've been through this before." There's no experience factor here, so everyone is. My boss likes to say, everyone is learning how to ride the bike while they build it. And I think the NBA is showing that they're trying to make decisions in the best interest of both health and business, and I think that pendulum has swung at times. Like right now, especially with so much business being lost, it's seeming like it's more on the business side, and will be a little more soft on the edges with the health side of it.
I think the beauty about sports is that although we haven't been through times like this, sports in the past have been a unifying factor in the world. And I think that past experience will help ease the public flack that the NBA will get eventually when they do reopen up. Because people are going to have something to cheer for, something to believe in, something to want to.
It's selling hope right now.
Right.
I think sports is going to do that regardless whether they rush back or not, though. Because I don't think that the people, the ownership and the business aspect of sports is really thinking into that, because I believe that they're going to have that regardless. At the end of the day, when things are able to go back to normal, whenever that is, sports will have that. Will be sports and concerts. Those things will be huge come that time when everything is normal. But until we get there, I believe that you should play it as safe as possible. Because you don't want that bad publicity. You don't remember when Rudy Gobert was the first person to break. Was the first athlete. The first athlete to have
when he was touching
coronavirus, and he was
that was such a viral video.
It's a bad look for publicity. So you think about it in the sense of, if we rush these players back to have these games, or we rush these players back, and then another strong outbreak in a controlled area in which we were a part of, then that's more bad publicity. So I encourage, and I'm saying this without having the billions and millions of dollars that is allocated to these entities, but I think sports will be just fine when they get it back. But you got to get it back first. You got to take your time with that, because this is serious, This is serious. I know the longer that it goes on, the less serious it seems to us, but the numbers aren't really changing much. The numbers are still up, down, and about. So there's no, okay, this is the time now. We haven't hit that yet. And no government official, no one has shown me that we need to be making those type of moves when it comes to our safety right now. That's the best way I can put it.
I think the most important thing you got to do is have a plan and plan ahead. You know, one organization that's been planning ahead?
NFL.
The NFL.
Well, their season wasn't derailed in the middle.
True.
But continue.
But they've been planning ahead. They released their schedule recently for the entire 2020-2021 season. Speaking of playing, one thing they did do, if the season were to be pushed back, every team that has a bye, like their week 2 matchup is the same or something like that. Or basically their week 2 matchup has a bye at the same time they have a bye. So that way they can reschedule that and push it back on towards the end of the year very easily. So that's the NFL moving ahead. But aside from week 2, what are some of the matches y'all looking forward to?
Go ahead.
A couple, man. I'm definitely looking forward to watching the Browns come back against the Ravens.
Right,
oh, Browns Ravens.
I want to see that. I want to see if this is the year. For
who?
That Baker, Odell. This is a big. I'm being honest. This is a for me, for the Browns. This is make a break. This is a make a break year.
Okay. This is the game you want to see.
This is the game that I want to see because it's the first game of the season. I want to see that game. Also, I seen that the Texans Chiefs game. Yeah,
I look at the Texans Chiefs game and the Browns Ravens game is the same. When I look at the Ravens and the Chiefs being clearly the favorites, and the Texans and Browns can make a statement and still lose that game. But I want to see how they play. I want to see how both those teams play. The Texans without the star receiver that they've had and how Deshaun Watson gels with his new guys. And I also want to see what the Browns are about coming out the gate. Are they coming out the gate ready to ball? And again, for the Browns, that doesn't mean much because they can win game 1, 2, and 3 and then go on an 8 to 9 game losing streak. But the way that they ended last year, the pressure that's on Baker
and Odell.
I think this is a terrible matchup for the Browns. I'm going to tell you why. The Ravens, they forget how they lost last year. And they are looking, I expect them to take every single piece of frustration of losing that game, the way they lost to the Tennessee Titans, on the Browns, especially with being division rivals.
So it's pressure against pressure.
And that's what I'm trying to say.
That's why it's a diamond game. It's going to be a diamond game. But also the other game I'm looking
the Browns can lose that game and still say something.
Yep.
It's not a must-win game for the Browns. I'll give you that.
Right.
Week 1 is must-win.
It's not, but it's a game I'm looking forward to.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm also looking forward to this Chiefs Ravens week 3.
Monday night.
Yeah. NFL did us a disservice giving us that game so early. But with that being said, I'm expecting it to be a 2-0 team. Exactly. So one of these teams are going to be fighting for, especially with that number 1 seed being the end all now. That goes into effect this year, right? So the number 1 seed, the new playoff situation is 7 teams in the playoffs and only the number 1 seed.
It's even bigger now. You're right, Ty.
That's why I wish they would have made that game a little bit later. But for me, my week, I was looking at week 1 matchups, and my week 1 matchups, very clear. It was the same week 1 matchup from last year. Got the Jets and the Bills. The Jets and the Bills. And I know people no one's really looking. You see your faces, the Jets and the Bills.
Nobody's trying to watch no Jets and Bills, man.
Listen here.
I watch the Bills.
That division has just become first sports cross reference. That division has just become the Eastern Conference. When LeBron left and went to the Lakers. Yeah. Who wants it? You know who else is playing the first week? The Dolphins and the Patriots. So the division is playing each other. And I expect this division to turn into the NFC East, where it's a dogfight to the end, and it may be good teams, or maybe like last year where the NFC East was 4 bad teams, and one of them had to go to the playoffs. It was the Eagles. But hey, The Bills and the Jets had a dogfight last year, week 1. Sam Darnold had his best game of the season. He also had the Bills also had that huge fourth quarter comeback.
Yeah.
Bills were a playoff team.
Yeah.
The Jets, they believe in Sam Darnold. I'm a Sam Darnold believer.
They lost their home run hitter and Robbie Anderson.
Right.
And he's dealing with new weapons.
Yeah, but the defense is back.
The defense is back. The defense is actually better.
CJ Mosley and Avery Wilson back.
The defense is better
from injuries.
And their starting quarterback is hopefully won't miss for the first 5 games.
Romano.
Yeah.
With a non-contact injury. So he has to. I know he's gonna want to redeem himself. He showed that he can play really good against a playoff team last year that was known for their defense to start the season, but he also blew that game. The Bills, this is their division to take now. They for the last 5 years they've been the closest to a good team out of that division, not naming the Patriots consistently. They've been about 3 playoffs. They've been right there, so this is their opportunity to step into that spot. This is the Jets' opportunity to step into that spot. You like the Dolphins this year? Why not? And then there's also Big Bill Belichick. Is it Tom Brady? Was it me? Can I keep it going? Is Tom Brady just another Randy Moss?
Is he expendable?
Is he expendable? Like what's the guy? OJ Mayo. Is he? Gerard. Excuse me. OJ Mayo. Gerard Mayo. Is he expendable like these guys in college? And they just
Darrell Reeves.
So that division to me is something that I'm probably gonna watch every week. Granted, we live in New York, so I get the Jets games for free. I also get Bills games for free when the Jets aren't playing.
So speaking of the absence of Tom Brady, let's talk about the presence of Tom Brady.
Okay.
And the new fight for the NFC South between Week 1, the Bucks and the Saints.
Hold up. We in this fight too.
You
said it ain't over yet. Nope.
You said it.
I looked at the schedule. I'm saying here on live on episode 38.
They have the hardest schedule.
The Falcons are either going to go 10-6 or 4-12. I'm betting on 10-6.
You said that last year too.
Hey, I gotta be optimistic as a fan. Shoot.
I got Todd Gurley. I got some pieces.
I ain't optimistic about that.
No, let's be real. The NFC South is loaded.
Yes, it is loaded. It's a team. It's not a 2-team race.
Disappointed that it seems like Carolina kind of threw in the towel.
You fighting for that wild.
Did Carolina throw in the towel? Is Carolina coming into the season with playoff intentions?
Absolutely not. They lost their starting middle linebacker. Lost their tight end. Lost their quarterback.
And their head coach.
Signed Teddy Bridgewater. If you expect Teddy Bridgewater to make the playoffs in that division, and he's clearly the worst quarterback, and I don't care what nobody say, he's clearly the worst quarterback in that division, you are crazy.
But that division...
he's the worst quarterback in
that division. But the thing about the division is it's not loaded with DBs.
It's loaded with offense.
That's what I'm saying.
And you got the worst offense.
Yeah, but you also have the worst defenses.
But you got the worst of the worst defense.
Yeah,
who the Panthers got defensively?
The thing about the Panthers is their game relies on Christian McCaffrey, and so far last year he's unstoppable.
He's unstoppable, but they was right back in the not making the playoffs. They was about the last team in the division again.
So where y'all?
We was 7-9. We was better than the Panthers. That's the point I'm trying to make. Panthers not making the playoffs. The Panthers make the playoffs, I cut my hair.
Panthers defense always been good. Did Luke Kuechly retire?
Yes, he retired.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so you're literally relying on Christian McCaffrey. Now I understand why they gave him that huge contract extension. I understand why. Because you need him. Because that's your entire team.
John, you wanted to talk about the actual matchup before Rob got to his Falcons.
Yeah.
But that's a matchup between Tom Brady,
two great all-time quarterbacks.
all-time quarterbacks.
There we go.
You got one of the greatest receivers in the game, the best receiver in the game according to us right now.
Three to Harvey,
Mike Thomas,
top receiver.
Okay. You got another top 10 receiver, and Mike Evans. But then you also have arguably one of the greatest tight ends of all time coming out of retirement to play. This is going to be an offensive.
You also have a regressing Tom Brady.
You have a regressing Tom Brady.
But you got Tom Brady.
You have Tom Brady.
You're right. I'll get you right. So Tom Brady.
And on the other end, the NFL sack leader was Shaquille Barrett, and he's with the Buccaneers. So he's coming at the Breeze. And you got Cam Jordan on the other end. And
it's going to be a good game.
Lattimore and and those guys back there, it's going to be a great
Malcolm
game. Jenkins is back to be on the other side of Lattimore. It's going to be a great.
It's gonna be a good game.
Great.
You know what my marquee matchup is? I took a trip down the Looking Glass.
You're looking down.
Look all the way down to week 16.
Week 16.
Yeah,
And there's a Friday night NFL game. Believe that. I'm gonna say it again. There's a Friday night NFL game. Well, not Friday night, but it's at 4:30.
Pending.
And guess who the matchups are? No, this ain't competitive. I'm pretty sure they're gonna let this one fly. They really want this. The matchups are the Saints and the Vikings. But here's the biggest thing. It's on Christmas Day at 4:30.
What does that mean, John?
What does that mean, John?
See if you can pick this apart.
Christmas Day at 4:30.
4:30. Friday.
Isn't that interfering with the NBA schedule?
Dun, dun, dun. You heard it. And they took the perfect game for it. The Saints been heartbroken by the Vikings in the playoffs the last few years. Drew Brees coming back.
They want a piece of that Christmas pop.
They want a piece of that Christmas pie.
Ho, ho, ho.
So,
Saying about dropping missiles for presents this year.
and we were talking about how the NFL is planning ahead. Is this something we could see going forward? Do they have more Christmas Day games? Even if it is on, per se, a Friday?
Well, they're using a great. This is a great way to see what's going on. It's a great opportunity to do a little demo run and see what happens. You got two really good teams, two prominent playoff teams, two teams that should have good records going into this time, or at least be fighting for playoff spots,
right. Playoff implications
positioning. Like you said, I believe the NBA's primetime games, they start playing basketball around 12 o'clock. The primetime game is the 5 or the 3 o'clock. It's like 3 or 5 or 6 o'clock. They'll be on. The primetime NBA game will be on while this NFL game is on. And for us, great. You can go back and forth channels. But when you talk about splitting revenues and the fact that everything with these businesses are competitive, like we spoke about earlier, with just getting the players back on the courts and fields. Everything is competitive. In every league, we dogged MLB for not being cultural aware last week. And right now it looks like the NFL, although they are in the off season, which helps them a lot more than the other two major leagues who wouldn't be in their off seasons right now. But they're making some really good.
They're doing some
Will
good
it be an NBA power
They're
move?
making good planning, future planning.
You know,
And again, this could
power
be
move?
a front for us too, because they don't know what the hell is going on. But they're using dates like September, whereas the NBA has to use dates like May.
But the NBA
So
is
it's
also
easier to say stuff for September.
You know what I can see
December.
also? The NBA having some type of mid-season tournament that they've been wanting to have. Probably around
Midsummer
that Christmas,
tournament.
around that Christmas time.
Season where
I
they
think-
would compete with the NFL.
That would be something. I mean, we all want to see LeBron versus the best. But if they can make it LeBron versus the best for something,
Yeah. And also, you have to also think in this as well, with the coronavirus and COVID, the NBA has said that they might start their season in December.
right?
So it might not coincide. It might not be
Right. It might not.
conflict. So we don't know, but it's good for speculation.
Great for us.
It's great. It's great for TV.
Thank you, NFL. Finally did something right. Besides that horrible draft y'all did.
At least they had a draft. Did you hear about the MLB? Saying that they're going
condensed their draft
draft
game,
for
bro.
40 rounds. They have 40 rounds.
To 5.
Yeah,
To 5 rounds.
To 5.
Oh, that's disappointing for those.
And then everybody else will be unsigned
Unsigned free
free
agents.
agents.
That's disappointing for those college grads.
Those high school kids too.
Yeah, that's disappointing. That is really sad. You want to like, love, and hate it, man.
Let's talk about it.
Like, love, hate it. So in the NFL, had some NFL signings. Last week we did a little spiel on Andy Dalton, and right after the next day, right after the show, Andy Dalton signed with the Cowboys. How you guys feel about that move?
I hate it. I hate it because
You was on the show saying he should be a backup last week.
listen. I thought about it. Got some thought. And now I'm on a player's. I'm thinking from a player's point of view. From an owner's point of view, it's great because I can leverage. All right, cool. Dak, you want to sign? Fine. Rifle, suit up. Don't worry about it. We good. From the player side, I'm Dak Prescott. I am fuming at the mouth. The reason why, because I wasn't saying this last week. I know. Listen.
I'm saying, why are you fuming?
I'm fuming because
I'm fuming too. I'm fuming
because I gave you my all. I produced. I've gotten you to the playoffs. Remember before me, y'all was struggling getting in the playoffs. Romo wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. Didn't have a playoff win. Cowboys revenue going down. And I come back, and I create this brand when we make it to the playoffs.
So you think this move is a replacement if Dak doesn't sign? Move?
This is a Dak leverage move.
This is a
with
Dak
Andy Dalton.
Absolutely.
See, now you got me singing a different tune than last week.
Yes.
I don't think Andy Dalton is your franchise guy.
He's not a franchise guy, but he's cheap right now, and I can play him if I need to. If Dak doesn't get the bag and sign, it's a chess leverage.
Here's me looking through the looking glass. Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones have said we want to sign Dak, but we want to put championship pieces around him. Which lets me know that, number one, they don't see Dak as a Tom Brady, as a Peyton Manning, as a Carson Wentz. They don't see him as that. They see him as a lower tier. So meaning we have to surround pieces around you to make you successful. Yeah. Meaning we don't need a superstar quarterback right now. Let's sign Andy Dalton, this $7 million deal with incentives, and let's fill out the rest of the roster. So I think that is a leverage move for the Cowboys. Do I think it's a smart leverage move? Absolutely not. I don't believe Andy Dalton will lead the Dallas Cowboys any further than what Dak Prescott would. I think they actually regressed a little bit.
As a business move?
As a business move, I like it.
I'm going to go to the same place with less money. Think about it.
I don't understand.
So, if I'm paying Dak 32.5, whatever, and we're getting to the first round of the playoffs and losing, but I can pay Andy Dalton $7 million.
I save $25 million and still lose?
And still lose.
I had $25 million in my pocket.
Exactly.
So I can go sign
It's a small
AB.
Exactly.
Go sign a what?
The AB.
Yeah, I don't know.
AB. So you're saying sign a premier receiver? And
they can sign. I'm just not signing a premier.
They can sign a piece.
Sign a piece with that $25 million and help our championship contentions.
Yep.
That's what I see. Now, I hate it.
I hate it because it's disrespectful to Dak.
I hate it.
In that world, is definitely disrespectful to Dak. I don't hate the move. From a football playing the game standpoint, I think Andy Dalton's a great guy that you can use to back up Dak if Dak were to go down and still not miss too much. Can Andy Dalton bring you a championship? I'm not gonna bet on it. Can Dak bring you a championship? I personally, and this may be just a personal thing, maybe I'm on the Skip Bayless bandwagon, but I think Dak is a franchise guy. I think Dak is a franchise quarterback.
Andy Dalton is a Texan guy too.
Right.
Yeah,
he's from
Texas.
Go home. Yep. Go home. And that's and from that perspective, if it's not a leverage move, and it can easily be a leverage move, but if it's not a leverage move, then that's a great guy to have as the backup. You know, your guy goes down for 4 to 6. Say he has a Drew Brees like injury or Ben Roethlisberger, not last year, but normal Ben Roethlisberger injury that takes him out for about a month or some change. This is a great guy to have. You expect to go at least 2-2. You don't expect to lose every game like the Jets when they lost Sam Darnold last year. If you don't see Dak as a franchise quarterback and this is a leverage move, then I also like it for Dallas too. Let Dak go. If y'all don't see him, stop playing with that boy. Yeah, he's done nothing but come in this league and win. Mm-hmm. He's done nothing but
what you asked him to do.
But what he's been asked to do.
What you asked him to do.
As a third or fourth,
fifth round pick.
As a fifth round pick.
It's kind of like Russell Wilson. Okay, I ain't gonna go that far.
Even it, he hasn't won a championship yet. He hasn't won a championship yet, but I also wouldn't say
to the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't say that Dak is the reason why either. All right, Dak doesn't have the most amazing playoff games, but I think Dak should be treated. I think that would bode well for his confidence too if you did treat him like a franchise quarterback. I understand that, especially in Jerry World, not wanting to play a fifth rounder, but so much hasn't done enough for you yet. But franchise quarterbacks aren't, and I think Green Bay is going to learn this sooner than later. Franchise quarterbacks don't just come around all the time. There's a lot of guys that's been drafted early, drafted first, been looked at as great prospects, and turned out to be subpar, average.
He was drafted number 1 overall.
All right.
And Aaron Rodgers went 22nd. And they was comparing 1 and 2.
Okay.
That's
you taking shots.
I'm about to take a shot.
you taking shots.
Another aspect that I see about this trade, about this deal, is that if Dak, this goes back to the leverage point, if Dak doesn't play ball, always trade that.
Right.
And now you have a quarterback.
Right.
Trade him
Now I
for
got
a piece,
quarterback.
and
Why
I
do
have a
you hate
quarterback. I hate it because it's so
Player
disrespectful
empowerment.
to Dak, bro. It's so disrespectful.
So
You
that is the
won.
player empowerment guy.
You won. You did everything I asked you to do. Nigga, I sacrificed. I came in and took over the job for your superstar and did more with the same amount of talent that he had. You're penalizing me for the mistakes that you should have did a long time ago, which is fired Jason Garrett and get him up out of there. So I don't think that's fair. That's why I hate it, because I don't think that it's fair towards him. I think that the man did his job. Pay him. Pay him what he did. And if not pay him, trade him. I mean, don't have me in limbo.
Jerry Jones is the weirdest rich person I've ever seen. Like, he has such a big heart, but he's such an asshole at the same time.
Yeah.
But like, he holds on to people way too long.
Definitely polarizing.
Yeah,
Polarizing.
he holds on to people way too long. He lets things linger in the air way too much. He says things at the absolute worst time.
Is it? Is it?
What?
Is it what?
Is it at the absolute worst time?
Well, last
It
year
keeps
when
the
they were
Cowboys relevant. That's what Jerry Jones do best. I keep the Cowboys' names in y'all know. We talking about corrupt. No, we talking about Dak and the Cowboys. We're not talking about the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl and all that stuff. We talking about the drama that's going on in Dallas.
there was no drama. We got to talk about Dallas regardless, because they're gonna do things like sign Andy Dalton. We're gonna talk
Right,
about,
and that's a part. That's what I'm saying.
Let Dak wait forever to get to sign him to a franchise tag.
That's why I'm saying that.
It wasn't a franchise. It was 1 year deal, right? It was a
Dak?
franchise. Yeah, Dak was franchised. Or it was 1 year deal.
I think they franchised him. They franchised him, but he ain't signed it.
Trade him. Get him out of there.
They still
I'm
negotiating.
okay with that. This, like I said last week, there's a lot of teams that can use a starting quarterback right now, and
Dak
Dak
being
would
one.
jump to the top of the list. I would take Dak before I would take Cam Newton off the list. I would.
I would too. I'll take Dak if we can right now.
Yeah.
So, all right, what else we got? We got Frank Gore joined the Jets. Old man Frank Gore still chugging. You can shake your head because he was on a playoff team last year. He's
Close to
still
1,000 yards rushing last year.
That boy's still hooping.
This is New York media at its finest.
Oh,
this, this is New York sports at its
Oh
finest.
man.
They always do this. They
Somebody past their
always
prime.
tags way past their prime, and then be like, "Ain't gonna be the man because it's in New York."
I don't think anyone's expecting him
Nobody's
to be a man.
being.
But who's their starting running back?
Le'Veon
Right
Bell.
now, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, I
they,
expect him to be the man. I forgot Le'Veon was there. I apologize, sports fans.
but they trying to get rid of Le'Veon Bell. So
That's because you ain't do nothing on my fantasy team last year.
He had no offensive line and no quarterback.
Kudos.
I mean,
kudos to Frank Gore, to you, product.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible job by the Jets.
What do you mean?
who's the backup running back for the Jets?
I don't know. You
Liam
go sign
Powell.
a fourth round running back.
Brian Powell.
Sign Christian Wade.
It's a good move. It's a good move because they need leadership on the team. Frank Gore provides that leadership.
Yeah.
Veteran leadership in the locker room.
That's
a winner.
That sells
A winner.
I'll give you that.
It's a great move.
Yeah, you
he's
gotta-
going to
you
be
gotta-
consistent. He's going to teach Le'Veon how to, not even teach Le'Veon, but just the morale in the locker room, bro.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna teach Le'Veon much, but
No.
But he'll show the
Yeah,
younger
other
guys how to
players-
be professional.
how to be professionals, how to be winners.
And it's probably another aspect to Le'Veon's game that he can teach him to get better at.
Maybe,
You
absolutely.
don't know. You don't
I
know.
mean, that's one of the all-time.
I like it.
And the
I
man,
like Frank Gore
he's still
still
getting the
having
end
a job.
zone. The man's still getting the end zone moving pile. You still do that, bro.
I like Frank Gore having a job, and I also like the fact that it opens up my boy Christian Wade, rugby star
Look it out
from
for your
England, birthday twin next week Friday. Big up. But yeah,
Watching you, Buffalo.
opens up a spot for Chris. Yeah, it sounds like I'm a Buffalo fan, right?
Low key.
I do like watching Buffalo play football.
Diggs over there too now, so you get some highlights. Look
Josh
more
Allen
highlights.
too.
Josh Allen.
I like Buffalo.
I like Buffalo. I think it opens up a spot for Christian Wade to go along with. I'm sorry, I cannot remember the kid's name, but they had a running back that really turned up last year, Buffalo. And I think that Frank Gore, again, he hasn't kicked the bucket yet. There's players that's in the league that are still in the league off their namesake, and not do.
Oh, no, he
Nah,
not.
because AP did alright last year.
No, I'm saying, I
AP
thought you
did
were
alright
saying
last
like
year.
people still in the name because of their names they can still put in work.
So that's his name. It's Singletary. Right?
He
Devin
did some
Singletary
work last year.
put some work in last year. So you add that to Christian Wade. T.Y. Yeldon is always a wild card or a bad card, but depends on how he plays. But they got a decent running back tandem. The Jets add Frank Gore to Le'Veon Bell, and I think it's a win-win for both teams.
Yeah.
And then they play first week of the season. So again,
I expect the Frank Gore touchdown.
me too. Me too. At least an attempt.
Facts.
They gonna run it 2 or 3 times to them in the red zone.
Facts.
Ooh, they gonna have a terrible season last year.
There's a UFC fight tonight.
The headliners are Tony Ferguson Jr. versus Justin Gaethje for the interim light middleweight championship. I'm not sure on that one.
And how are they doing this?
It's in Jacksonville, Florida.
Florida again.
Yeah.
Florida coming up in the pandemic.
And I'm not exactly sure how they're doing it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a regular UFC fight with no fans. So it's going to be 3 people in the ring, 2 fighters and a ref. I'm sure the ref will have as much protective equipment, personal protective equipment on, glove, mask, all that good stuff. And they gonna go at it. I don't know how to put it. UFC saying the show must go on.
You like it, love it, or hate it.
Greg Hardy's fighting tonight.
Oh yeah.
Greg Hardy is
The
fighting
only
in the
reason-
UFC, by the way.
Wow.
No,
Wow.
cross
A
reference.
former cowboy. That's funny. The reason why I like it is because I want to watch something that isn't old highlights. Like I want to watch something. Like I'm actually like, oh, I actually want to fake tune into this UFC fight tonight. I have no idea who any of these fighters are. Besides my boy Henry Sejuho.
You know who Greg Hardy is?
I know who Greg Hardy is. I've never seen him fight before, but like, I don't have a favorite team. But I want to see them
Don't got
do
no
something
dog in this fight.
Yeah, I don't got no dog in this fight, but I want to see people competitively compete against each other. I want to see them. Who's the best? I want to see and not know who the answer before I watch it.
It's a new assignment for you.
Yeah.
It's like watching something new.
Yeah.
When LeBron was first interviewed, I think it was a week, not even a week into Corona. This might have been like 2 days after it started. And he was interviewed, and they were like, "Yo, if the fans don't come, are you gonna play?" It's like, "It's what I do this for. I play for the fans. Like, the fans ain't gonna be here. I ain't gonna be here." If there's a sport, and this is why I feel I'm on the edge about this. If there's a sport to watch where you don't give any care in the world about the fans, about the crowd noise or anything like that, like basketball, baseball, football, all of those have 6-man, 12-man implications. I wouldn't want to watch golf. Yeah. I just play golf. I wouldn't watch golf. So, I would say fighting, not necessarily boxing, but fighting would be wonderful. So to me as a fan, hey, why not? You know, if you're gonna keep everybody out, it's a lot less people involved in UFC. It can be a lot less people involved. You can set those cameras up and have someone in a control booth kind of working which angles we see. You don't necessarily need as many people around. You don't need ring announcers if the audience isn't but so big, we can hear them, you know. You can have them in a different area giving the same announcement. So I think it's a lot easier to separate people and to do this safely, not including the 2 people that are fighting. But for the fans, sure, why not? But as a fighter, I think that you lose something when you lose out on, when the fans aren't there. And just about the LeBron thing, I think there's parts to fights that, you know, the people in the crowd see, and you catch them in a tussle, and you catch that clean left jab or clean left hook, and the crowd goes crazy. I believe that gives guys a little bit more of a boost of energy or boost of morale, or at least I know that connected, you know. They saw how he reacted, because sometimes you're just in the moment. I'm sure you've done it before. You know, you've crossed somebody, you was already onto the next move that you ain't even know that when you left him, he was stumbling.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh.
So I think that these fights, I'm looking at two guys that are undefeated, like Jair Rozenstruik and Jurgen, the guy that's fighting against Greg Hardy, Jurgen De Castro. These guys are undefeated, and I'm sure they've heard the crowd is going to be different. What they hear, the effects, the whole aura of the fight is going to be extremely different for them, and that could make a difference in these fights. That's where I'm at with it. So I like it. I like it from a fan's perspective. I'm not a fan for it for the fighter's perspective.
Yeah. In that perspective, as a sports fan looking for sports, I love it because I get to see something on TV live, not pre-recorded. I don't know what's going on. Oh yeah, John last shot. I know what he about to do. He about to do this. He about to make Brian Russell go this way and shoot the jump shot.
I know the last dance. Cool. It's just nice to watch it again.
It's good. You know what I mean? To see something live and be like that suspense factor, kind of going to what Rob was saying, that is needed right now, and I think that is great that they're providing it. However, I don't like it from a athlete standpoint who is in the business of fighting, because number one, you've already noticed that there's two fighters who cannot fight because they were tested positive with coronavirus. So that's number one. Number two, there's no fans. You know what I mean? That's number two. So it's like, I'm risking something, and when I signed up initially, my end goal was to be the champion, and I was supposed to be in the ring with fans. But now there's not going to be any fans, and on top of that, I'm risking myself. So is it really worth the risk now? You know what I'm saying? For it. So I hate it for that part, but I do like it that there's going to be actual live sports.
MLB is supposed to be opening up on the 15th. How y'all feeling about this?
But I'm excited. I love it for opening day.
I
love opening day because I get to see something on TV. Son. I remember I used to watch baseball and fall asleep. Like now, I really watch the whole game just because of the fact that it's something new. It's something that's live. It's something I get to see. So I love it. I love it.
We gotta see what's going on with the dugout and bullpen situations before I give true love of the hated situations here. But baseball is another one of those sports where there's not a thousand people, but a bunch of people next to each other all day, and then they go live their life with their families and come back and do it the next day, 6 days out the week. So they spend countless hours in the
clubhouse.
The clubhouse. Right? They spend countless hours previous to games in the clubhouse. You spend an hour, 2 or 3 bunched up in the dugout. You got people in the bullpen, 7 to 8, 9 pitchers in the bullpen, just chilling, chopping it up, watching the game until it's their time to go out there and do something. A lot of people next to each other is what I'm trying to say. 2 groups of people next to each other for a long period of time. And this thing is not skipping over athletes. Athletes are not immune to this at all.
Respect of no persons. Everybody can get it.
So I'm a little weary. I'm not gonna say I hate it, but I dislike it at least.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, sports is a business, and they want to move on, and they want to do whatever it takes to get some of this revenue coming in.
Rob, what you got?
Opening day, 15th.
How will they get revenue from this though?
The TV deals.
The TV deals I get, but they've always had the TV deals. It doesn't stop the 30,000 people not showing up.
They had a TV deal, but they're not playing baseball, so they're not getting money from TV deals because they're not on TV.
No. What I'm saying is they get that back, but they're still they've already had that deal, so that's not new money. That's just money that they can tap into now. What about the money that they're losing immensely by playing 30 games? Say I have 15 home games. And those 15 home games, I usually would bring 35,000 people in a game. Now I'm bringing in no one. So 15 home games of losing money.
Yeah,
that's a loss.
You're getting
the other part of the deal.
I think there's going to be creative
ways. I think the business part
making money
is what I'd rather lose all of my pie and have nothing to show for it.
Right.
Have no players, still got to pay them or fight with them for pay cuts, which MLB, whoever they're playing is amazing. So I'm pretty sure the owners lose that one. Or would I rather have them do something that I'm paying them to do for nothing? You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but if I push these contracts back and I say, yo, we're going to start the season when everything is safe and we're going to get 162 games, I'm still going to pay my players for the 162 games they're supposed to play. And I'm also getting my 81 games of home fee that I was charging before.
I think
if you push the season back, you're going to lose the season.
Exactly. That's what Rob's saying. So if you look at it from a business standpoint, like, we already chalked this up with taking a loss this year.
Mm-hmm.
How big of a loss can we take? We can control.
Mm-hmm.
By playing these games and bringing in revenue as much as we can. Next season, when everything is back open, you best believe these dudes going to come up with some type of way to make that money back.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that is, but they're right now thinking about damage control.
Yep.
And damage control means we have to play these games. We know there's not going to be any home games. I mean, it's, home game or away game is going to be a loss of revenue.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a loss of revenue? And the way they figured it out was, okay, we're going to take the loss, but this is the margin of loss that we're acceptable, that we're going to accept losing.
This is the risk factor we're willing to take.
Exactly. Because ultimately, if we don't play, MLB can be done forever. They can go into financial disaster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they're gonna use the baseball games to be able to push the TV ad so that people can buy the jerseys.
Right.
If I'm not playing baseball, I don't have a need for me to buy the jerseys. You know what I'm saying? So
I get a jersey now for you to watch.
Exactly.
Rock. Coronavirus special.
Exactly. There's going to be some, and I always
Facts, bro.
whenever there's a need, there's always a creative mind
Nike, bro. Nike
of ways to make money, bro. There's always some type of way to make money in the MLB and the NBA and all of these sports leagues. They do it one way or another.
Rangers tickets $900 right now for opening day.
Shoot, bro, they might do a virtual video game.
Our last like, love, and hated topic. Ready to look back over there? Bill Self, Sunday investigation.
Pull up my dog real quick.
Kansas Jayhawks. What's the situation going on over there, Robert? What y'all guys doing?
5 level 1 rule violations for
Level 1, that's the highest level.
No, that's the lowest level.
Oh, okay.
So minor.
So
Besides putting people in the face in the stands and stuff.
yeah, besides that.
You know?
So 5 level 1 rules violations in the entire athletic program of Kansas. So this means
Got a little apple.
in specifically men's basketball and football. Yes.
Woo!
So Bill Self has been charged with a lack of institutional control. Well, sorry, that was one of the violations.
Okay.
And he's been charged with head coach responsibility of the violations, which is permissible up to 1 full year suspension. However,
That's a steep
it
charge.
is not final yet. This is the investigations. This is what they're trying to find out.
Very steep
And
charge.
instead,
What are these charges based off of?
The charges are based off of the fact that these Adidas representations paid these players and tried to blame our Kansas coaching staff and said that we told them to do it. When in fact, it has been proved, as per the federal trial, that Adidas employees, and I'm quoting this, intentionally concealed impermissible payments from the university and coaching staff. So for the NCAA to accuse Kansas of knowingly paying players via Adidas to recruit them to our school, it is bogus. And this is why Kansas is standing with Bill Self, and we're fighting these allegations and disputing them nail and foot.
This is what I read out of this. The NCAA is under fire, and they're trying to look for a way to deflect their nonsense that they've been going on for the last, I don't know, however long, 50 years. And now they're under investigation, so now they have to do other investigations. What I don't believe is fair is that they're trying to put this on coaches. Like, the domino started with Rick Pitino, right? So they're going after the high profile and choosing which one they believe they can do without. That's how I see it.
This is how I
I don't think that's fair towards the organizations. I don't think it's fair towards the coaches, because if the NCAA passes a law now stating that these players can now be financially paid without any repercussions, then you should not penalize anything that happened prior to that. Because you just not said it's okay. So why are we now going back and digging up this? That's my question. Why are we now going back and digging up this? To do what?
Listen.
Because I think what's going to happen is that ultimately the NCAA is going to be found guilty because they're under investigation for all the stuff that they've been doing. And that they are going to be held responsible and they don't want it to come out of their pocket. It's all about money at the end of the day, bro. So if I can penalize Kansas and they pay us, then that's not coming out of our pockets. That's not fair. That's not fair. I hate it. I hate it
too. Now I ain't gotta say why. They trying to hit my boy Billy.
Before I say if I like love it or hate it, I want more information that's not gonna be sealed based on an ongoing investigation. Okay. Because something can drop about Bill's self right now that'll make you go, ah. And hopefully it doesn't, for your sake. Mm-hmm. But that's just the possibility with some of the NFL. Like you said before, the NCAA was late for the 8-ball when it comes to getting players paid.
They created,
and there were other scenarios that they created. Like we say, the prohibition created the mob. These players not getting paid created opportunities for some people to find out ways to do it behind closed doors. And I believe that some of these coaches were down with that, bro. I do.
The NCAA created this whole mess.
And why you think they're going to investigate so heavy?
I get it. Listen. But the thing is this: then you have to own up for that. Then you take accountability for it, and they won't do it.
The man never does that.
Secondly,
I agree.
Secondly, it's the alumni, not even the players, that's doing this.
Thirdly, every single school doing it. Bradley Beal literally was online with Jason Tatum and was like, they had a conversation like, oh, and G League playing, if I do that, I want him. Jason Tatum said, nah, Duke's a good school. Bradley Beal said, well, you think I was born yesterday? Mm-hmm. Like, stuff like that. So if you're telling me that Duke, the most prestigious, blue collar, white collar, whatever, the most clean cut school of it all,
finds ways.
So my thing is,
you got it.
We'll wrap it up. Stop hating my boy Bill stuff, man. Stop hating
on him. I'm just mad because it made it to Kansas.
Stop hating on him.
You just upset at
Kansas. That's my final point.
All right, y'all. We're going to end off the show on this, man. I'm going to give you a little 10-minute tidbit of a cultural conversation that
stats in this.
I enjoyed, John enjoyed. I think, and it's crazy because I've started this conversation a year ago. I've had a conversation with a few ladies and some other people, and it's been a great conversation all the time. And we want to just...
This is a great segue for Mother's Day, man. We got Mother's Day coming out tomorrow, man. For all the mothers, the person we're about to talk about is a mom.
Mm-hmm. So, who is the bigger what? Beyonce or Michael Jackson?
I think
because the what is the biggest part of this. So, is to me the biggest superstar, the biggest icon, the biggest performer, the biggest star. Like, what are we talking about here? Because both of these people, again, I love the fact that we always debate greatness. Mm-hmm. We put greatness up against greatness. Yeah. So when we choose someone that is as a top, we choose someone as a top pick, we're not really we're not trying to diminish the other person's career. We're just saying we prefer one over the other, in our opinion, and that's why they usually don't go 3-0 opinion wise. But yeah, we're talking about two of to me, entertainment wise, the biggest stars, black entertainers of all time, both of them. Mm-hmm. I think it's fair to say Michael Jackson and Beyonce. Mm-hmm. So
that's a fair statement. I think so.
When do we get to? And I think Michael Jackson has been number one for as long as I've been around. So when did this conversation of Beyonce become prominent, and how prominent is it now?
I think Beyonce, the more and more she just does Beyonce stuff.
What does that mean?
Like drop an album with no promo and it debut #1.
Okay. Beyonce stuff.
Stuff like that. she is going to climb higher and higher and higher up this conversation of whatever this what is. And I think for me, when she initially started, it's probably around like when she, I want to say not when she headlined Coachella, but like right before then. When it was like, all right, we got to really start.
I think what set the bar for her was that halftime performance of Lemonade during the Super Bowl. And I think she was always a cultural icon, but now she stepped into a lane of activist, and that's what pushed her lane more forward. Because now she has focus and purpose and intent behind her music. So her music is to create change. I think before her music was to create change, not in a way where she's using her power to change the dynamics of human interaction in society. Like now it's like, you know where I stand with this. Black girls rock. You know where I stand with this.
Michael Jackson was very similar.
He was similar. He was the original.
They were fighting two different evils at two different times.
I think his movement in the civil rights and Beyonce's movement of black women empowerment are kind of equal in their importance of where they stood in that time.
In that time, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I would argue that Beyonce's means a little bit more because it's a little bit more widespread. The message is a lot less suppressed. Beyonce, and that's what I was saying in the times, Beyonce is in a world where I am going to speak up. I'm going to do it on whatever platform I want to do it on. You don't control the platform.
I have my own platform to speak on.
Michael Jackson had his own platform, but it was all controlled.
Motown is my platform.
Right, it was all
not titled. Owned by my husband.
But just going to that point, it was more controlled. But for you to risk everything, because he was risking going against the grain and be successful in spite of that, and his fame grow to greater heights, that says a lot about Michael Jackson as a frontier person. You know what I mean? That's why I can't, when we have this argument, I can't say one. It's almost like what Kobe Bryant said to MJ, right? It's like, there wouldn't be no me without him.
Yeah. And there wouldn't be no Beyonce without Mike. When it comes to the way that that celebrity, that high standing celebrity can still speak on social issues. I feel like Beyonce is able to do it more freely than Michael Jackson ever was. Michael Jackson had to be subliminal in messages in songs like Dirty Diana and Black or White and things of that nature. Whereas Beyonce
can literally bring out Howard's marching band.
But let's be real. Beyonce is very lyrical. She's very cerebral with the way that she puts her songs together, and there are some undertones that you may not have caught when you would just jam into the music. When you start listening to them words, Beyonce be talking to you too.
Lemonade was subliminal.
When I look at the celebrity, I don't think there has been a more polarizing person than Michael Jackson. And that's one thing that to me gives Michael Jackson the plus over Beyonce. Even when you go back that far, I think it's easier to be more polarizing and less talented now than ever before. We look at guys like
Can't even mention him on our show. But we're gonna edit that
out. But it's a lot easier to be polarizing and not not good. Michael Jackson was both. He was polarizing. For example, as great as Beyonce is, I don't think Beyonce can walk to the center of the stage, just stand there for 2 minutes, and people actually pass out. This is and maybe there are some beehives.
Oh no!
There are some bees that may actually pass out.
Just walk down the aisle.
I mean, and will it do it to anyone? Can it do it to children? Can it do it to adults? Can it do it to teenagers? Can it do it to black people? Can it do it to white people? Can it do it to those people, black and white, standing right next to each other, never spoke a word, don't even speak the same language? Because that's how polarizing Michael Jackson was.
His reach was His reach was crazy.
And I'm gonna go
His
back
reach
to
is
our
still his reach.
original statement.
Mm-hmm.
The more and more Beyonce does Beyonce things,
Mm-hmm.
the more and more we'll see people in Brazil passing out because they saw a hologram of Beyonce performing.
Watch you still alive.
Right.
I think that.
Technology is definitely on Beyonce's
Yep.
side.
Yep.
Technology is
Definitely.
definitely on Beyonce's side. The time frame in which she's worked and the time frame in which Michael Jackson worked, totally different when it comes to the size of these places, the reach without having to go anywhere. Michael Jackson had to go on tour to get certain reach, you know.
Absolutely.
Beyonce can literally, like you said, I don't need to promo because one, I'm Beyonce. Two, we own title.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Here's an album. Yo, you heard that new Beyonce?
It dropped last night.
And you got it.
You don't gotta walk to the store. None of that.
So
Yeah,
exactly, you don't have
open.
to buy the disc. So she has the upper hand when it comes to time zone,
And marketability.
marketability, technology,
markets.
access to it. She has the.
She's more business savvy
Right.
too.
With that
She
being
has more
said,
control over her. She had more control over her
She
business.
has more control. But is she bigger than Michael Jackson? I don't think is she bigger than Michael Jackson now? Because maybe in the future,
That's what I was gonna say.
maybe in the future.
This is my cross sports reference. Michael Jackson is Michael Jordan.
Beyonce is the rest of the
Beyonce is
league.
LeBron at 3-0 in the finals. That's my take.
But see, and this is
But Beyonce's not 3-0 in the finals. Beyonce's had her falls and her fails too.
Okay.
So Beyonce to me
5-1.
is more like Stephen Curry, more like Stephen Clay. Shout out to Tay-Rock. I'm about to say stay, but
I think Beyonce more than LeBron. Like she's in her own. I'm up there with y'all. It's just I'm chasing y'all. She not.
if Steph retired right now,
He
Steph
wouldn't
would
be
be
chasing Michael
considered
Jordan.
a top 50 player. He would be considered the best shooter of all time. I think Beyonce can
If Beyonce
definitely be in
retires
the
right now,
argument.
she considered the best female artist ever.
Okay.
That's something Steph can't say.
This is my thing about when you say who's more going back to the polarizing thing. Everybody
Point
has
guard.
a point. Every celebrity has a point in their career where adversity, trauma, something happens that changes your eye in the public. Michael Jordan had it with the gambling. Michael Jackson had it with the rape case that came out. I mean, Eddie Murphy had it. Everybody goes through that. I haven't seen Beyonce go through that yet. It's going and I don't wish this upon her, but the way that the public is, the way that the media is,
I
can
name a couple controversies that
Beyonce's
Beyonce's going through, brother.
She done gone through some
The way
stuff.
the way some people feel like she violated Destiny's Child.
Yep.
Granted, she needed to be solo because her solo career was leaps and bounds where Destiny's Child could have ever sealed that.
the potential.
She also had the whole.
her husband cheating on her, making a whole album about it.
But that was
Even the
bad
whole-
on Jay-Z. That
even
wasn't
the
bad on
whole
Beyonce.
Still
husband
controversy
cheating.
for her.
It's controversy, and then you
Okay.
got the whole controversy about the pregnancy. Don't
Yep.
forget that first pregnancy. A lot of people say that.
Or the fact that Blue Ivy got nappy hair all the time.
No,
Like
talk about
Today's
her.
world?
Man, let
Don't
her
talk about
parent. I'm
parents
riding
too.
with Beyonce on that. You
They
can
ride
have
it,
how you
they
want
don't
to
talk about
parent. Your
her.
girl got hair how she want to have hair.
I don't see
It's
that.
not
I
a
just
feel like
major controversy.
it's not-
Michael
Exactly.
Jackson is one of those people, especially when you
It's
die.
like an Odell Beckham controversy. Like, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
It ain't really you got in trouble with the cops. You just doing stuff you ain't supposed to be doing.
It's nothing like when you're in a major spotlight and everybody's like, this is what they're focusing on in a negative aspect.
Yeah.
Like she has that with the positive aspect, yes. And in the negative aspect, it hasn't been like it happened with, like I said, when you watch The Last Dance, it happened with Mike with the gambling. Like the whole world was against him.
LeBron going to Miami.
Exactly, he had his moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that Beyonce keeps doing the stuff that she does because now she's like creating that movement. Somebody's going to fire back at her and try to turn the public against her.
Well,
And that moment, that's when I can see if she's going to be better than Michael or if she's going to be. I think that's the defining moment that I want to see.
But what I'm trying to say to you is right now.
Anybody better than Michael Jackson, dead or alive.
I see
Period.
it. what I'm trying to say to you right now is I feel like Beyonce has had those and she's overcome those. She's had some really controversial moments. Your husband is a cocaine dealer, is a crack cocaine dealer.
He's a kingpin.
He's a kingpin. Like those, that's been said in those same communities where at Patty's barbecue, there's with the raisins and the sweet potato salad.
Yeah.
They still gonna play single ladies.
But guess what though?
So they're still gonna play single
And this
ladies.
is why I feel like
Yeah.
it's not a negative thing because now white kids, black kids, Jay-Z is Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm. But you,
At the end of
what
the
I'm
day-
trying to say to you is, it
at the end
was
of
a
the day, I'm
controversy.
Jay-Z.
You got to see it.
It's not as I don't feel like that controversy is not polarizing. That's not polarizing, bro.
It's not. If anything, it was.
I mean, Michael
if
Jordan
anything,
and the gambling.
It didn't give people
is
a
only
reason
being
to root
polarized.
against Beyonce.
Right, and Michael Jordan and the gambling was polarized in the moment, and now in the last 10 years, I heard nothing about Michael Jordan's gambling.
I mean,
2010, 2020, I heard nothing about. Oh, nah, we didn't like Jordan. I didn't hear nothing like that. Never.
It was always
so
good.
in the moment when it was actually happening, and now that we're watching a show about it. Of course, you might hear some rumblings about it, but Beyonce's had her in the moment situations, and when it's all said and done, that's what Beyonce has Jay-Z beat. Jay-Z has Michael Jackson beat too. For her, Michael Jackson has had retirement moments. Michael Jackson was 50 when he passed. Granted, he was actually on tour. He was doing a tour.
He was about to do his last
He was
tour.
doing his last tour, but you can say that there was pockets of years where Michael Jackson.
When have you seen the media try to tear Beyonce down?
That's what I'm trying to say to you.
This is what I'm asking you.
But listen,
When have you seen the media try to tear her
what
down?
I'm saying
Because
is her career isn't over yet. With someone like her,
That's what I'm saying.
and with someone like her, you've had your in the moments, and I've seen it. Like I said, I've seen the media try to tear Beyonce down. They can try. Beyonce has a whole gang,
Beehive.
a whole beehive that will shoot at you before you get a chance to sting them.
Mm-hmm.
However, before you get a chance, they will be on your page going crazy, on your network's page going crazy,
on Instagram. Going
but
breaking your internet.
when Beyonce retires, and there's that motherhood only scenario, that's when I feel like they'll have more arrows to throw her way. That's when because Michael
That's
Jackson
when
was
the
the
stories will come
man when you in the league. You're the man. Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, name the guy. When you're at the peak of your performance, your powers, you're gonna stand out. And for the most part, there's gonna be more yeses than nos if you've made it that big. And both of them were like that.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jackson wasn't. I don't feel like he was fending off the Neverland situation as heavy when he was making the hit songs. Those
The
things,
Neverland situation didn't
that,
happen until like 1990 and the 92, 93.
and he has hits after.
You rock my world.
He has hits after. So
But
did
he
it
took a
bring
break
him down?
from music for a while.
Did it bring him? Did it break him?
It didn't break him, no.
Did he not make money off them Oprah interviews?
Here's
You know. So
Here's Devil's Advocate Rob. Do you think those negative publicity could have possibly helped Michael Jackson in his superstardom and making him a bigger superstar? And if so, if not, do you think and when it does happen for Beyonce, do you think that'll help her superstardom?
I think Beyonce
As like-
and LeBron James I spoke about before, there are these very few black celebrities that we get to hold in a light where, like John said, there may be controversy here and there, but it's been nothing that's major to bring Beyonce down.
Mm-hmm.
And me personally, I pray, hope, and wish that they can stay like that forever. Because, like John said, there are people that are waiting for that opportunity
TMZ got him paying right now.
to take you down. And
Shout out to
they
TMZ.
haven't given those opportunities. So I would say that it would hurt Beyonce because there's a plan for this.
I feel like Beyonce will make an album.
But she'll make it work for sure. It's not gonna break her, but it would hurt her in a. But to me, how big it would have to be to hurt Beyonce. We're talking about something catastrophic, something that I wouldn't even want to speculate.
I don't think I'll ever get to that point
Yeah.
because it's not going to get to that point because Michael Jackson did it by himself. You know I mean, like, it was Michael Jackson. He had the Jackson 5, he had his brothers and sisters, but he didn't have an equal star next to him.
Mm-hmm.
She has Jay-Z.
Was,
you know what I mean?
You can even look at Jay-Z and say he's more than an equal star. He's the business. He's a business partner first. You know, he signed Beyonce. Beyonce is part of his label, right? He signed Beyonce. They're partners in that sense, and he's 12. I want to say 12 years older than her. So he's been in the game at 26. She was in the game at what? 16, 17. She was really young when Destiny's Child started. Yeah. So, he knows a lot more. So she's also been, and again, like you said earlier, with Michael Jackson having to crawl for her to walk. A lot of people learn the hardships of not owning this, that, and the third.
Yeah, and I think that black people are black music, not black people. Black music and black culture are more culturally accepted now than it's ever been. Ever. Yeah. So, you know, her reaches, the things that she says is not going to be as controversial because it's accepted now. You know what I mean? Like before, when Michael was saying it, even in his subliminal tone, it was not. It was seen as he's crossing riff, rapping music, crossing waves, and you know what I'm saying? So, like the scrutiny that he was getting, I don't see Beyonce getting. You know what I mean? And on top of that, like Beyonce the queen, like she the queen. That Beyonce situation is real. Like that Beyonce situation is real.
So to close this all off, right hand Beyonce.
I can't vote, bro. And I'm voting like this, bro.
Mike.
Yeah, I'm still taking Mike.
In 10 years, my vote might change, but right now I'm going Mike.
Yeah, Beyonce got 10 more years of work easy. Beyonce can give you 10 more years of classic work. But we here have Michael Jackson and Beyonce bringing up the rear. It's not a bad rear to bring up. And hope you guys enjoyed our show. Through the hallway.
Yeah, boy.
Come back next week with some more sports topics. Hopefully some more sports news.
Yes, sir.
Again, check us out, 3 The Hallway, 3THW on Instagram, 3 The Hallway on Facebook. Apple Music Podcast is 3 The Hard Way with 3 Ys. And YouTube is 3 The Hard Way Podcast, THW Podcast. If I ask you for THE, that is not what you're looking for. THW.
Yes, THW Podcast instead.
Join us again next week.
Sure.
Here with my boy Rob.
Sure.
And whatever John wants to call himself next week. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining us.